Hey guys, and welcome to another video themed drawing a steampunk girl, and this is a commission I got to do by one of my patrons on my Patreon page. You can find the link to my Patreon page in the description. I'm currently not doing any kind of commissions, but for my monthly patrons I do my best every month to deliver any kind of manga or realism or semi-realism drawing and do as best as I can so that I can make them happy every month. So if you're interested in becoming a patron, you can check out my works in my videos and on my page linked beneath the videos. And this time I had a task to draw a portrait of one of my patrons as a steampunk girl, and I decided to treat her with a unique design made only for her by making a unique set of hairdos and accessories and steampunk themed clothing, and just kind of a special look that was designed specially for her, including the makeup style. And this will be a quick video, a shortened video, but you can see the full-length fast video tomorrow on my channel, so don't be angry about me just skipping some of the parts. You can sit down and watch them tomorrow at your own pace, so don't worry about that. And I fell in love with this new pencil for inking I just found out. Its name is Kuretake Fude Gokochi, and it is very pricey, sadly, but I think I got hooked because this pencil was able to do so many different line thicknesses at once, and I just had to use it for my patrons' best drawing. So I wanted to design something that was unique for this character. If you guys don't know what steampunk is, that's a mixture of it's like a fashion style that's a mixture of Victorian 19th century fashion and clocks, sprockets, springs, and any types of steam powered mechanism bits. And some would agree that true steampunk fashion would actually be something that consists out of a working mechanism that's powered by steam. So I included a backpack and gyros showing the steam pressure on her arm, and a backpack that is actually blowing steam behind her, so that I could maybe go with the flow of the style itself. And of course, since she has this long beautiful hair, I wanted to make it into long, almost princess-like curls, and just honor her look, but not go too much into manga style. I wanted this time for her to look more like some sort of a semi-realistic character. And of course I had to wait a bit so that the ink pen would dry, so that I don't smudge it and I don't ruin the lines by erasing them with an eraser. And of course, black areas are something that's very important for any style, any comic book style, and illustration, because you need that contrast, you need that amount of black areas to make some shapes and characters pop. So always try to steal knowledge. I'm always offering it in my videos, so you can always just sit down and watch where exactly I'm placing those black areas. And for a realistic skin color, I was trying to implement a type of coloring I usually do for manga faces by leaving white areas mostly on the face, but then I realized that it will not work that way because it's a realistic face. It has to have more depth. So later on I decided to add more color to the face, but I'm extremely scared to do that because usually COPICs leave out lines, and I really don't want her to have blotches or greasy colored areas on her face. But I think I managed to make a really consistent texture on her face. and some of my Copics were getting dry, so I had to redo some shades several times, but I wanted to give this character as much depth as possible. And I mixed up several different shades of natural hair color so that her blonde hair would be almost like smudged up with smoke from her steam machine, and just make it a little bit look sooty, but just a tiny bit. It doesn't need to lose its charm or its beauty by having it to look like really hard-working motor girl, like somebody who's like been working with motors and special machines. So I wanted to implement some grace and beauty, but also the ruggedness that comes with this era, that comes with steampunk. I personally prefer using Victorian fashion, and drawing all of these tiny bits is very time consuming and difficult because you always need to be careful of the textures and the types of materials. For example, there's a lot of leather, there's a lot of crafty made fabric with a lot of tiny bolts and like clock mechanisms, glass. You need to know how to draw a realistic piece of glass or jewelry that fits in the time period. So it's very time consuming because you have to do a lot of research on steampunk and Victorian stuff. Everything is brass, metallic, leather, and every type of texture of that kind is different for the kind of the way that material looks like, you know, because some materials are more glossy, for example the glass. Some materials are more matte. Some of them have a darker center and glowing edges when you color them. For example, leather does. And of course metal has the mind of its own, where you need to make diagonally shaped shadows on the surfaces and make them glossy on the outside of the metallic surface. So everything has its own place, has its own purpose, and you need to think about how they go together and how they make one mechanism on that outfit work, if you want to go by the real rules of the steampunk fashion. And last but not least, I definitely wanted to add some pizzazz to her background, because if you leave out just the pure color in the background, it doesn't look as impressive. But I added some springs and sprockets and gyros and just added those shapes behind her, so it looks like she is in the middle of some sort of a mechanism. And I used a lot of white paint to add to the volume of the smoke coming up behind her, so there is a nice amount of contrast between the dark background and the white smoke. And I really hope you like what I did for this drawing.